Hello everyone, welcome to the Dividend Investor channel. Today is Monday, the 2nd of October 2023, so it's time for another end of September update. In this video, as well as my portfolio update, we're going to be talking about the upcoming dividend payments, some of the index rebalancing in S&P 500 and ASX 200, as well as my current trial of ShareSight, so I can see the progress of my portfolio and dividend payments to date. But first, some disclaimer. I am not a licensed financial advisor. Investing is inherently risky, and past performance is not indicative of future results. I strongly recommend that you should consider all information provided on this channel as entertainment purposes only, and should not be taken as constituting financial advice. You should seek your own independent legal, financial, taxation, and any other advice to check on how the information here relates to your personal circumstances. As I've said in my previous video, my investing strategy is buying regularly in the long run. So in September, I bought $2,000 into IVV. On the 18th and 19th, I bought 21 shares each at $46.30 and $46.20. Commission was $5 each. At $46.30, I thought it was a pretty good price, considering in early September it was at $47. But as you know, on the 2nd of October now, IVV is trading at $44.70. So slightly underwater, but I'm not too concerned since I'm investing for the long run. My ComSec portfolio screen. As you can see, this contains a lot more information than the computer share screen. Let's get through it. So we have the ticker code here, IVV, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you the name of the stock. I also have VAS, which is the Vanguard Australian Shares ETF. This shows the total available units. So I have 3,455 shares of IVV and 7,804 shares of VAS. For IVV, my average purchase price is $39.70, and this is the current or last trading price, so it's at $44.70. These two are the change from the last trading day. So today is Monday, so this would be the change from last Friday, the closing price. So IVV has gone up by 21 cents today, or about 0.4%. And profit and loss, this shows the overall profit and loss for the position, for the overall position. So I'm up 17,000 on IVV, or about 12%. Current market value is 154,000. Current weighting is 18%. And this is the value, the change of the portfolio's value since last Friday. So it'd be correlated to that 0.4%. For VAS, available unit is 7,404. The average purchase price is $93.50. I did purchase VAS mostly in late 2021 and early 2022 when it was trading quite higher back then. My highest price that I purchased was at $94.50, and the lowest was $81.70. So the average about $93. This is the current trading price. As you can see, I'm a bit underwater here by about 53K. The change from last trading day, so today VAS has declined by $1.63, or about 1.8%. It's a bit high because today is the ex-dividend date. So as you know, if you bought VAS today during ex-dividend date, you will not get the dividend, which we will discuss a little bit later. Profit and loss currently down 7% on VAS. Market value, the weighting is a little bit too high to my liking. As I've mentioned in my previous video, my goal is to get to about 50-50 portfolio allocation into these two stocks. And that's the one as well. That's the value, the portfolio value change since Friday. For those who are familiar with ComSec's interface and reporting, what ComSec is missing is some sort of a graph that would show the overall the progress of my portfolio. As you know, it's up to about 2 years at this point. So I was Googling it a little bit, and I was told that ShareSight was doing something like that. So I created a trial account and input my data. So we're going to have a quick look into the ShareSight platform now. I initially didn't know what ShareSight does. I had heard about them from podcasts and stuff, but I didn't really know what value they add. So I Googled historical portfolio chart tools, and ShareSight was one of the companies that popped up. So I had a look. They claim to build smart tools. They're in 150 countries. Story, tired of spreadsheet calculations. Yeah, I know the feeling. Okay, so they're relatively new. Just a couple of years old, 10 years old probably. And I was surprised that they're based here in Australia. So what I did was I had a quick look, and they claimed that their platform syncs with a lot of the brokers and apps. So all of the big ones here in Australia, along with a lot of other companies, brokers. So I had a quick look on how to import my ComSec trades. They have instructions on how to do this. You can bulk import. I logged into my ComSec, downloaded the CSV, and just upload it. So just follow this instruction if you want to just have a play around and see what it can do. And so let's have a look on what ShareSight is showing for my portfolio. Name my portfolio just AU. So it shows up my portfolio values. It has the chart. This is excellent. This is exactly what's missing from ComSec. Just the ability to track your portfolio's values as it goes up and down over time and what it is now. This is really good. So you can choose between lines or stacked, kind of like this. I'm just used to lines for now. It has a date. So apparently you can add more portfolio if you subscribe to it. This is just a free trial version, so it may have some limitations. So it's saying that my capital gain is currently about 2% loss, with a decline of 33%. Dividends, I've received 94,000 since late 2021. So I think the earliest data is November 2021. And this is what's important here. This is what ComSec was missing as well, which is the total return. I mean, you can have quite subpar returns in profit and loss. But if your dividends make up for it, then it should be included in the calculation, and you should be looking at total return. So going lower, it breaks down the portfolio into two. It has the latest market price. It has the latest available units or quantity here, current market value. And yes, as we saw in the ComSec screen, I'm up about 17,000 in IVV, but down about 50K in VAS. But since late 2021, I've received 92,000 for VAS and slightly less in IVV. So overall, I've received about 94,000. Actually, speaking of having received, that's not actually accurate because that includes the dividend that will be paid out on the 16th for IVV and 17th for VAS. Let's just have a quick look. If I click here, I had played around before recording this video, so I sort of knew what to expect from the next screen. So this is just the share price movements between. It includes the ASX 200. Okay, so it's comparing VAS, which is ASX 300, with a 200. They're pretty closely aligned. capital gain, the dividends. So so it shows all of the trades, trade history, and that's my last trade, my last purchase in VAS. And look at the distribution here. This is amazing. I mean, they even include the dividend, which will be paid in 15 days time. And so yes, that's correct. The first dividend I received in from VAS was the January 2022, because I started buying in November 2021. So it's got the gross, it's got the amount withheld and franking credits, and this is the net payment that I usually receive. So yeah, to date, I've received about 63K, and I'll receive about 10K in 15 days time. So overall, including the gross of the credits, as of the 17th, I would have been receiving about 93K. I'm very impressed by this platform, actually. Current price. All right, let's have a look at IVV. There's a bit of anomaly in the IVV share price. So looking at IVV, and see that thing. So don't be alarmed when you see this, both here and in Yahoo Finance or the stocks app in iPhone or Mac, because the stock price did not fall from 600 to $38. They just had a stock split, a 15-for-1 stock split sometime around there. So on a price of about $600 a share pre-split, it'd be about $40 a share now. So don't be alarmed when you see that. I don't know why some companies haven't fixed that adjustment, but it's saying for IVV, my capital gain is 17K, or about 11%. The dividend, obviously, as you know, is a lot lower for US companies, but I have no problem because this is the capital growth part of my portfolio. Total return since that late 2021 is about 12% per annum, so that's quite good. Has all my trades. So these were the two trades that I mentioned earlier. I bought $1,000 worth in September and on the 18th, and another one on the 19th. These are the distributions. I'm surprised that the October amount hasn't shown up here yet, considering it was already announced, I think, a few days ago. But yeah, this is really good in terms of just tracking how my portfolio is progressing over time, especially as I grow over time. No one wants to see it going lower. But yeah, I'll be looking at this table quite often just to track both the capital gains and the dividend received for the total return. So yeah, so it has that first trade date there. That's correct. All right. So moving on, we're just going to touch base on the dividend announcements next and the rebalancing. So usually just about 3 weeks before each quarterly dividend payment, Vanguard and all the other index funders would publish the timeline for the dividend payment as well as the amounts. So this is the latest version, but they did issue the first one, I think, on 27th of September. But yeah, it's pretty much showing all of their ETF, the codes, and how much distribution you're going to receive. So it has all of this. The main one that I'm interested in is usually VAS, although I may purchase all the other ones in the future. And the timeline is here, so that's when it would get plugged into the ShareSight payment Ex-dividend, as mentioned, is today. That's why the share price for VAS, it should fall at least by that amount on ex-dividend dates. So the record date is tomorrow. So in the future, if you want to buy VAS or any of the other ETF and receive the dividend by the 17th of October, for example, you need to buy it before this date right here. Okay, so if it's trading on this day, then you're not going to receive the dividend on the 17th. This was the first announcement of the distribution dates by BlackRock for the iShares ETF. So it lists all of the ETFs that would be making the distribution soon. This has the dates. So the reason why the BlackRock, even though we have a payment date scheduled even one day before the Vanguard ones, which is on the 16th of October, Vanguard payment is on the 17th, is that BlackRock hasn't announced how much distributions each of these ETFs would be making, and that's why the amount has not shown up on my ShareSight portfolio future dividends. So tomorrow, which is Tuesday on the 3rd of October, they're going to make the estimated distribution amount. The ex-dividend date is the next day. The confirmed amount would be announced on the 5th, and we're going to be making receiving the dividends on the 16th. All right, I'm going to keep an eye out for the announcements in the next few days. But not least, we're going to be looking at some of the changes in our portfolio indices, because while our strategy of investing is called passive investing, our portfolio certainly isn't passive. It can be quite active. So let's have a look on the S&P Global's website. I like to see all these announcements. So we see that in early September, there were some changes to S&P500, as well as on the 20th of September. On the 1st of September, S&P Global, so they announced that Blackstone and Airbnb would be joining S&P 500. And so that means two other stocks will get replaced, which would be Lincoln National and Newell Brands. So this table is probably somewhat easier to read. Let's just focus on S&P 500. So this announcement is saying that on the 18th of September, Blackstone and Airbnb would enter the index, the S&P 500 index, while Lincoln National and Newell Brands would get removed from the index. So that means that if you're a holder of IVV like me, that means that from the 18th, you're going to be invested in these two companies, and you no longer will be investing in these two companies. Newell Brands is actually a very interesting one. I didn't know what they sold, so I went to the website, and they sell some of our favorite, some of the products that we see quite regularly. You got Papermate, Parker, Sharpie, some of the baby products. In home and commercials, you have Rubbermaid and Quickie, Systema, lunchboxes. They have candles, and they seem to have the Sunbeam. In outdoor and recreation, you have these products as well. So it's one of those familiar consumer products that probably hasn't got much growth recently, and meanwhile being replaced by being overtaken by Airbnb and Blackstone. On the second announcement, Veralto, I don't actually know what they do, but we can have a look at another time. But yeah, it's another announcement that from today, US time, Veralto will enter the S&P 500, replacing DXC Technologies. But this is the interesting part of index investing, because your portfolio components are always moving. So it's quite important to at least be aware of what's happening. Next, let's have a look at the changes in the Australian ASX index. Okay, looking at the ASX 300 page, you can see the performance here. the fact sheet, which can be quite helpful, and the announcements. So let's have a look. That seems to be the last one of any changes. So 1st of September, the announcement was released and it affects ASX 200. So as of the 18th of September, you have these companies being added to the index. I know Data 3 and not so familiar with the other resource companies. And as a result, these companies will be removed. So yeah, as I mentioned, even though you only own one ETF, such as the VAS, Vanguard Australian Shares, you actually own a basket of 300 companies. And so sometimes it's quite important to see what's in the index, which companies you're invested in. For example, just looking at the top 10 quickly, we have BHP, the Big Four plus Macquarie, you have CSL, and you have Woodside, as well as Wesfarmers and Woolies, of course. But yeah, it's quite important to at least know and track where the index is being invested. It would determine your future returns, total returns, both dividends and capital gains. But with that being said, I will leave it here for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it right to the end, I thank you for being patient with me. This is still my second video, first with real voice, so I hope to keep getting better over time. But if you've enjoyed this video, please like and help subscribe to this channel to help me grow. And don't forget to leave comments as well as to what you like or didn't like from this video, and I would endeavor to keep improving. Thank you for watching again. Have a lovely day.